The vast expanse of space stretched out before Skarn, a kaleidoscope of stars twinkling like diamonds scattered across a velvet canvas. He stood on the bridge of the dreadnought Crather, surveying the fleet that loomed ahead. This was not just another campaign, it was a pivotal moment in the long war against the humans, a race newly emerged onto the galactic stage. Skarn, a fierce warrior of the Thrakkery, was confident this would be an easy victory. "Commander Skarn," a voice interrupted his thoughts. It was Vorith, his second-in-command, projecting urgency. "We have intercepted human transmissions. Their forces are gathering near the colony on Zelther V. They will resist." Skarn turned, his sharp features illuminated by the glowing displays around him. "Let them come," he replied, his voice steady and menacing. "They will learn the futility of their defiance. Prepare the drop pods. We will show them the price of resistance." In the culture of the Thrakkery, strength was revered above all. To show mercy was to be weak, it was a principle drilled into Skarn since childhood. He had clawed his way to the rank of commander through blood and battle, his rise marked by the lifeless bodies of those who underestimated him. To him, the humans were a peculiar species, prone to emotion and irrationality, believing in concepts like mercy and compassion that Skarn had always regarded with disdain. As the Crather descended toward the planet, Skarn's anticipation grew. The humans had constructed their colony with primitive technology, their structures weak and vulnerable. He could almost taste the victory, the thrill of hunting them down and silencing their cries of defiance. The drop pods released from the ship with a thunderous roar, plunging toward the surface of Zelther V. Inside, Skarn's heart raced. He felt the familiar rush of adrenaline, a precursor to the carnage that awaited. Moments later, the pods crashed into the ground, a resounding impact that echoed across the barren landscape. The doors of the pods exploded outward, and Skarn led his troops into the fray. The alien soil churned beneath his feet as he emerged into chaos. The humans were there, armed and ready, a ragtag group of soldiers that looked unprepared for the onslaught. "Engage!" Skarn commanded, and his warriors charged forward, weapons blazing. The air was filled with the acrid scent of smoke and the sharp sounds of gunfire. Skarn felt the thrill of battle coursing through him as he cut down the nearest human, his blade slicing through flesh and bone with practiced ease. But as he pressed forward, Skarn's eyes locked onto one human soldier amidst the chaos, a figure standing firm, face set with determination, refusing to back down. Skarn couldn't help but admire the soldier's tenacity, even as he viewed it as foolishness. This human would soon realize the folly of their bravado. As the dust of battle settled, Skarn advanced towards the human soldier, intent on delivering a final blow. But with each step, a strange feeling gnawed at him, a sense of unease. In a galaxy ruled by might, here stood a human who embodied a different kind of strength, one that Skarn had never encountered before. "Face me," he roared, ready to test this human's resolve. The challenge hung in the air, heavy with impending violence. This would be a fight to remember, one that might shake the very foundations of his beliefs. The battlefield was a cacophony of chaos, filled with the screams of the wounded and the thundering roar of weapons discharging. Skarn, still panting from the thrill of his recent kills, locked eyes with the human soldier he had been advancing toward. The soldier stood defiant amidst the carnage, his rifle steady in his hands, eyes ablaze with a fierce determination that ignited something unfamiliar within Skarn. The human wore a combat uniform, tattered and stained from the fight, but his posture was unyielding. Skarn noticed the blood trickling down the soldier's brow, yet he remained resolute, ready to face the alien commander. Skarn's instincts kicked in, his muscles coiling like a predator ready to strike. He lunged forward, his sword gleaming in the dim light as he aimed for a swift kill. The human responded with a surprising agility, rolling to the side and narrowly avoiding Skarn's lethal blow. The alien warrior's eyes widened in disbelief. This human was no ordinary soldier, there was a fire in him that Skarn had not expected. As they engaged in a fierce exchange, Skarn found himself pressed by the human's relentless attacks. Each dodge and parry revealed the soldier's unexpected skill. "Is this all you have?" Skarn taunted, anger flaring as the human struck back with a swift kick that caught Skarn off guard, sending him stumbling back. "You fight like a child." "I'm just getting started," the human retorted, determination etched across his face. Skarn could see the anger and pain behind the soldier's fierce eyes, a raw emotion that was foreign to him. As the battle raged around them, Skarn could feel the tide shifting. The human's strikes were precise, fueled by something deeper than mere survival instinct. With each clash of their weapons, Skarn sensed a growing respect for his opponent, an emotion that clashed violently with his upbringing, where respect was only reserved for those stronger, not weaker. The engagement reached a fever pitch, and Skarn unleashed a powerful strike, disarming the human momentarily. The soldier stumbled back, panic flashing in his eyes. But instead of finishing the job, Skarn hesitated, his instincts grappling with a newfound curiosity. "Why do you fight?" he demanded, still poised to strike but caught in the moment. "Do you not see the futility in resisting?" "I fight for my people," the human shouted, his voice fierce and unwavering. "I fight for my home. And I will not let you destroy it." In that moment, Skarn found himself struck not by the soldier's weapon, but by his words. He had never considered that his opponents could fight for something greater than mere survival. As the ground shook with explosions around them, Skarn's momentary hesitation cost him. The human, driven by desperation and resolve, lunged forward, surprising Skarn and knocking the alien's blade aside. In a swift movement, the soldier tackled Skarn to the ground, the weight of their struggle pressing down upon them. Skarn felt the heat of battle mingling with an unfamiliar sensation, confusion, perhaps even admiration. How could this human soldier, so seemingly fragile, exhibit such strength? Pinned beneath the human, Skarn's mind raced. This was no ordinary enemy. In that fleeting moment, a choice hung before him, to kill or to spare. With the screams of war raging in the background, Skarn's world shifted. As he stared into the eyes of the human soldier, he felt an unspoken bond forming, one that could change everything he had ever believed. The air was thick with smoke and the acrid scent of scorched earth as Skarn lay in the aftermath of the battle. The ground beneath him was stained with the remnants of conflict, blood and debris mingling in a grotesque tapestry of defeat. He had fought fiercely, but the weight of his failure pressed heavily on his shoulders. Defeated and disarmed by a mere human, he felt a deep-seated shame for the first time in his life. As the echoes of battle faded, Skarn managed to push himself up from the ground, his body battered but his spirit not yet broken. The human soldier, Sergeant Jack Reynolds, had spared him in a moment that had turned Skarn's world upside down. Instead of delivering the final blow, Reynolds had shown him mercy, a concept Skarn had always regarded as a sign of weakness. It was an act that rattled the foundations of everything he had been taught. When his comrades found him, they lifted him from the battlefield, their expressions a mix of concern and contempt. Skarn's commanding officer, Valthor, stood among them, his massive frame imposing. The disdain in Valthor's gaze was palpable. "You live to tell the tale of your disgrace, Skarn," he growled, his voice a low rumble. "A warrior who does not kill is no warrior at all." The words cut deep. Skarn remained silent, staring into the distance where the remnants of the human colony smoldered. "You have shamed our people. You should have died in battle, not cowered before a human." Valthor's reprimands were relentless, echoing in Skarn's mind as he was escorted back to the Crather. The ship hummed with the energy of returning warriors, but the atmosphere was one of gloom. Each Thrakkari soldier was aware of the battle's outcome, and Skarn felt the weight of their judgment. As he entered the dimly lit hull of the ship, whispers followed him, scornful and derisive. Skarn retreated to his quarters, seeking solace in solitude. He could not shake the memory of Reynolds' eyes, filled with determination and resolve. Why had he shown mercy? What could drive a soldier to spare the life of an enemy? These questions gnawed at Skarn's mind, shattering the black and white views he had held onto for so long. As he reflected on his upbringing, flashbacks surged through his thoughts. He remembered his childhood, the brutal training sessions where showing mercy meant certain death. His mentors had instilled in him the belief that compassion was a weakness that could not be tolerated in a warrior society. Skarn had spent years mastering the art of war, and yet here he was, defeated not just in battle but in ideology. Days passed, and the war raged on, but Skarn's heart was heavy with questions. He began to observe his fellow warriors with a newfound perspective. They reveled in their victories, but all he could see were the lives lost, the families destroyed. He had taken lives without a second thought, but now he struggled to reconcile that with the humanity he had witnessed in Reynolds. Finally, Skarn made a decision. He could not return to the battlefield, not until he understood what it meant to show mercy. He would seek out Sergeant Reynolds, the human who had not only defeated him but had awakened something within him that could not be ignored. Skarn's shame had transformed into a quest for knowledge, a desire to grasp the strength behind compassion. That night, he donned his battle gear and prepared to leave the Crather. The ship's systems hummed softly, and as he stepped into the hangar, a sense of purpose surged through him. He would defy the expectations of his people, he would defy Valthor. The human was out there, and Skarn would find him. With a resolute heart, Skarn boarded a small shuttle, setting a course for the human colony, determined to discover the truth behind Reynolds' mercy. As the ship launched into the void of space, Skarn felt a flicker of hope amidst his shame, a hope that perhaps there was a different path, one that could redefine what it meant to be a warrior. The journey had just begun, and with it, the chance for redemption. The darkness of space enveloped Skarn as he navigated the small shuttle through the debris of the recent battle. The remnants of human ships floated like ghostly reminders of the conflict, their twisted metal silhouettes stark against the backdrop of stars. Skarn's heart raced, not with the thrill of impending combat, but with a burgeoning resolve to confront the human soldier who had shown him mercy. As he approached the desolate landscape of Zelther V, Skarn recalled the vivid memory of Reynolds' fierce gaze. It was a look of unyielding strength that had shaken Skarn's understanding of what it meant to be a warrior. He landed the shuttle in a secluded area of the colony, the smoldering ruins a testament to the violence that had unfolded. The air was thick with smoke, the distant sounds of skirmishes echoing in the silence that surrounded him. Stepping out of the shuttle, Skarn activated his cloaking device, becoming nearly invisible against the darkened terrain. He moved with caution, scanning the area for any signs of the humans. Though he was no longer a soldier bent on destruction, his instincts remained sharp. He needed to find Reynolds, to understand the choices that had led the human to spare his life. As he crept through the wreckage, Skarn could feel the weight of his past pressing down on him. He recalled the lessons of his youth, the constant reinforcement that mercy equated to weakness, and how those beliefs had driven him to commit unspeakable acts. But now, as he walked amidst the ruins, he began to realize that true strength lay in the ability to choose a different path. Suddenly, a commotion broke the stillness. A group of human soldiers gathered nearby, their voices urgent as they strategized for their next move. Skarn's heart raced as he recognized Sergeant Reynolds among them, his presence commanding and resolute. The sight of the human ignited a flicker of determination within Skarn. This was his chance. He moved closer, positioning himself behind a charred wall, listening intently. The human spoke of regrouping, of finding a way to push back against the alien forces that threatened their homes. Skarn's respect for Reynolds grew as he heard the soldier rally his comrades, reminding them of their purpose and the lives they were fighting to protect. Then, without warning, the unmistakable sound of Thrakkery warships broke through the sky. Skarn's heart sank as he realized his people were coming to finish what they had started. He needed to act quickly. In a split second, Skarn made his decision. He emerged from his hiding place, his cloaking device fading away as he stepped into view, hands raised in a gesture of peace. Reynolds, he called out, his voice echoing across the battlefield. The human soldiers turned, weapons drawn, but Reynolds stepped forward, his expression a mixture of confusion and recognition. "Skarn," he exclaimed, eyes wide. "What are you doing here?" "I seek not to fight," Skarn replied, his voice steady despite the chaos around them. "I come to understand your mercy, to learn why you chose to spare me. My people are coming, and I wish to warn you." The tension in the air was palpable as the humans exchanged wary glances. Reynolds's eyes searched Skarn's face, seeking the truth in the alien's unexpected declaration. "Why should we trust you?" he asked, skepticism lacing his tone. "Because I am no longer the warrior you faced," Skarn replied, his voice firm. "I wish to fight alongside you against my own people. I want to protect what you hold dear." Silence enveloped them, the weight of Skarn's words hanging in the air. In that moment, he knew the path he had chosen was fraught with danger. But as he looked into Reynolds' eyes, he felt the weight of his decision shift from fear to purpose. "Then let's prepare," Reynolds finally said, lowering his weapon. "If you're willing to stand with us, we'll find a way to hold them off." Skarn nodded, gratitude swelling within him. Together, they would face the impending storm, a warrior who had once been an enemy now standing side by side with the very human who had shown him the power of mercy. Their destinies intertwined, they prepared to fight for a new understanding, a shared hope amid the darkness of war.